My wife said, "I never loved you. It was always him." I nodded. Then I transferred my savings to a hidden account, served her papers, and left. 3 days later, she called from a shelter, begging for a second chance. I, 38 male, am an architect. My entire life, my entire career is built on a simple principle. A structure cannot stand on a compromised foundation. You can have the most beautiful design in the world, but if the base is rotten, it's not a question of if it will fall, but when. I thought my marriage was a skyscraper. Turns out it was a movie set facade. Last Tuesday, it all came down. We were having dinner, a quiet evening. I'd made risotto, the creamy mushroom kind she always said was her favorite. She spent the whole time pushing a single grain of rice around her plate. "I need to tell you something," she finally said, her voice flat. I waited. I'm a patient man. "It's about Robert." My stomach tightened. Robert, her college ex, the painter, the romantic, tortured artist she'd kept pressed between the pages of her memory like a dried flower, the ghost I'd been competing with for a decade. He was her grand, passionate what if. I was just the dependable what is. "He's back," she said, not looking at me. "We've been reconnecting." "Reconnecting," I repeated. The word tasted like ash. She finally met my eyes, and whatever warmth I thought existed there was gone. It was just cold, hard glass. "It's more than that, David. I'm leaving you. I'm going to be with him. I have to." She took a breath, puffing herself up with what she likely mistook for courage. "And I have to be brutally honest for my own sake. I never loved you. Not in the way a wife should. I loved that you were safe. I loved the life you gave me. But my heart, it was never really yours. It was always his." The sound in the room vanished. It was like being in a vacuum. 10 years of my life, of my effort, of my love. Not just unreciprocated, but invalidated. It wasn't a failed marriage. It was a long-term business transaction where I was the only one who didn't know the terms. The house I designed, our vacations, the quiet mornings, it was all just part of her compensation package. I didn't shout. I didn't break anything. A strange, terrifying calm washed over the initial shock. The architect in my brain, the part that sees structural failure, took over. It saw the rot in the foundation and immediately, dispassionately, began drafting a demolition plan. I gave a single slow nod. "I see." She seemed relieved, almost pleased by my lack of drama. "Good. I was hoping you'd be mature about this," she said, the condescension thick. "I'll need to stay in the house for a while, obviously, until Robert and I get our finances sorted. Maybe you could stay with your brother for a few weeks?" There it was, the entitlement. To shatter my world and then calmly assign me my temporary living quarters. "No," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "That won't work." She shrugged, already mentally gone. She went to our bedroom, and I heard her start packing a bag, humming a little tune. The sound was obscene. The moment the shower started, my paralysis broke. The cold clarity hit me. I went to my office. Step 1. I logged into my bank. For years, I've maintained a separate savings account for my bonuses and larger freelance project fees. It's always been in my name alone. I know enough about divorce law to know that moving it now would be a red flag, that a judge could see it as hiding assets. I didn't care. This wasn't a strategic legal move. It was a panicked, visceral act of self-preservation. I needed a wall. I opened a new account with a completely different institution and transferred $187,000. I left a few thousand in the old account. It was my money from my work, and in that moment, I needed to know it was safe from the woman who saw it as part of her severance package. Step 2. I called my lawyer, William. I'd used him for my business contracts. I woke him up. "William," I said, "it's David. I need you to file for divorce first thing in the morning. Irreconcilable differences." I gave him the 2-minute version. Step 3. I packed 2 duffels. My clothes, my laptop, my project hard drives, my grandfather's watch, the blueprints for the house, the things that were extensions of me. When she emerged from the bedroom looking fresh and ready for her new life, she saw my bags by the door. "What's this?" "I'm leaving," I said, pulling the door open. "Leaving? Don't be so dramatic, David. We can talk about this tomorrow." "No, Jennifer," I said, standing in the doorway of the home I built. "There's nothing left to talk about." I didn't look back. I drove to a hotel I'd already booked on my phone and checked in. The next morning, William filed. A process server, as instructed, delivered the papers to her at 11 a.m. For 3 days, there was nothing but a deafening silence. I found a new apartment to rent. I signed the lease. I started the process of rebuilding. Then this morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. David? Her voice was a cracked whisper. I could hear the echo of a large, busy room and other people talking in the background. David, oh God, you have to help me. Where are you, Jennifer? I'm at a shelter, she choked out, the words tumbling over a sob. A women's shelter. Robert, he just wanted money. He said my love wasn't going to pay his rent. He took the cash I had and threw me out. David, please, I made a terrible, terrible mistake. I have nothing. I stood there, listening to the sound of her life imploding. The architect, the planner, the husband, they were all silent. It was just me. And I felt the vast, hollow quiet of a demolished building site. That's unfortunate, Jennifer, I said, my voice as level as a foundation slab. You should have your lawyer contact mine. I ended the call. I should feel a storm of something. Rage, pity, sorrow. Instead, I just feel the profound silence of an empty plot, waiting for a new design. Update 1. Thank you all for the comments and DMs. Reading stories from others who have navigated similar betrayals has been grounding. It's a reminder that no structure is immune to hidden flaws. The past week has been a masterclass in entitlement. It seems Jennifer and her family believed my quiet nature was a sign of weakness. They have since been corrected. After the shelter call, I blocked her number. As I predicted, her father, Richard, bankrolled a shark of a lawyer for her. The first official letter we received was breathtaking in its audacity. It demanded exclusive use of the marital home, temporary alimony of $5,000 a month, and a restraining order against me, citing emotional volatility. William, my lawyer, is a calm man, but he actually chuckled reading that. He responded with a standard but firm rejection of all terms and initiated the formal discovery process. No quick reveals, no gotcha. Text from a shared tablet. Just the slow, methodical grinding of the legal gears. The real offensive came from my former in-laws. Barbara, my ex-mother-in-law, called me. David, we are disgusted, she began. No preamble. Hello to you too, Barbara. Don't be glib. Jennifer is a wreck. We had to pick her up from some filthy homeless shelter. Do you know how humiliating that was? You abandoned her. Jennifer left our marriage for another man, I stated, keeping my voice even. I merely facilitated her departure. Oh, stop with your cold, robotic words, she snapped. She made a mistake. A woman is allowed to be emotional, to be swept away. A real man would have fought for his wife. He would have shown passion. You just calculated. You were always like this, treating everything like a business deal. Well, this is the most important deal of your life, and you are losing. It was illuminating. They didn't see me as a son-in-law or even a person. I was a resource, an investment that was supposed to yield permanent returns of comfort and stability for their delicate daughter, no matter what. The next day, a courier delivered a package to my hotel. Inside was the rosewood watch box I handcrafted for her on our 5th anniversary. I'd spent a weekend in my workshop getting it perfect. The brass plate on the inside, engraved with my forever, my always, was gouged and mangled. It looked like it had been scraped repeatedly with a screwdriver. That petty, vicious act of destruction told me more than her 10-year lie. Tucked inside was a note. A cheap box for a cheap life? You owe me. This wasn't about heartbreak, it was about her bottom line. The most damning move came from Jennifer herself. I got an alert from my credit card company about a charge that was flagged as suspicious. $3,200 at a high-end boutique. I still had her on a supplementary card, an oversight on my part, a card intended for true emergencies. In her mind, being forced to live without a new designer handbag was apparently an emergency. I immediately called the company, confirmed the charge was fraudulent as we were now separated and I had not authorized it, canceled her card, and sent the entire report to William. He was quiet for a moment after I explained. Good, he said. This is what we need, not angry texts. This is a financial act. This is dissipation of marital assets in plain ink. Keep letting her do this, David. She's drawing us a map of her own character. I'm moving into my new apartment this weekend. It's smaller, cleaner, and faces the sunrise. I look at that scratched watch box, and the sadness has been replaced by a cold, hard resolve. She thinks this is a game of emotion. She's about to find out what happens when you turn it into a matter of architecture. Update 2. The battle lines have been drawn and the tactics have gotten uglier. Jennifer's strategy is clear. If you can't win on the facts, attack the foundation of the man. The smear campaign started subtly. Vague posts on her mother's Facebook about the pain of loving a man who can't love you back. Then it escalated. They began telling mutual acquaintances that I was obsessively controlling with money and emotionally abusive, twisting my quiet nature into a narrative of cold, calculated cruelty. They were trying to damage my professional reputation, knowing that my career is built on trust and a steady hand. I had to have a very uncomfortable meeting with my firm's partners to give them a heads up. Thankfully, my track record speaks for itself, but the attempt to poison my livelihood was a new low. Then, things took a truly bizarre turn. I got a text from an unknown number. It was Robert, the painter. The great lost love. I almost deleted it, but morbid curiosity got the better of me. The text read, "Hey man, this is Robert. Listen, Jennifer is a mess, and you really did a number on her. She thought you had her back. I'm trying to help her get on her feet, but my art isn't paying the bills. If you could see your way to helping her out, it would be the right thing to do. She deserves a soft landing." It was pathetic and revealing. This wasn't a man in love. It was a grifter whose mark had come up empty. I didn't reply. I screenshotted it and sent it to William with the note, Exhibit B. 2 days later, another text from Robert. "Dude, not cool to ignore me. She's your wife. You have a responsibility. She's talking about how you hid all this money. If you helped her out, maybe she wouldn't have to tell the judge about it." It was a clumsy, idiotic threat. William was thrilled. We now had a third party, the affair partner himself, alluding to a plan to use hidden assets as leverage. Robert wasn't a romantic hero. He was a co-conspirator. The main event happened last Tuesday. I was walking to my car from my office when Jennifer cornered me in the parking garage. "David, we need to talk." "There's nothing to discuss, Jennifer. That's what the lawyers are for." I kept walking. She ran and stood in front of me, blocking my way. She'd been crying, but it looked performative. "How can you be so cold? I threw away my life for you. I was young. I could have been with Robert 10 years ago. I gave you my best years." "You made a choice, Jennifer." "It wasn't a choice. I was scared." Her voice started to rise. "You were stable. It was the sensible thing to do. You can't punish me for being sensible." The sheer, unadulterated narcissism of it was astounding. She wanted credit for using me. "I'm not punishing you," I said, my voice low. "I'm just not funding your next chapter." Her face changed then. The fake tears vanished, replaced by pure venom. "You'll regret this. I'll tell them you were a monster. I'll tell them you hit me. I will take that house and every penny you have, and you will have nothing left." She didn't know my phone was in my breast pocket, recording audio. It's a habit William insisted on. I didn't say another word. I just stepped around her, got in my car, and drove away. I emailed the audio file to William with the subject line, Exhibit C. She thinks she's fighting me with emotion, with threats, with drama. She doesn't understand. I'm not fighting back. I'm just documenting the structural integrity of her character, and it is failing spectacularly. Final update. It's done. The final judgment came down last week. The war of attrition is over. After her recorded threat in the parking garage, Jennifer's lawyer must have known their position was collapsing. They pivoted from aggressive demands to what William called a Hail Mary of emotional blackmail. They filed a motion detailing Jennifer's immense psychological distress and her sacrifices during our barren, loveless marriage. They were painting a picture of me as a soulless ATM who had finally malfunctioned. Our response was simple and factual. We presented everything. The fraudulent credit card charge, the text messages from Robert which established a clear financial motive for the affair. And finally, the audio recording of Jennifer explicitly threatening to commit perjury by fabricating abuse allegations to gain a financial advantage. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, was visibly appalled. The final ruling was not the simple victory I had naively imagined on day one. Real life is messier. The judge acknowledged that my transfer of savings on the eve of the divorce was problematic. However, she also stated that Jennifer's actions constituted a pattern of egregious bad faith that could not be ignored. This is how it all broke down. The assets and the house. The judge ruled that all assets, including my savings account, were to be considered part of the marital pot for calculation purposes. My heart sank when I heard that. But then came the twist. Citing Jennifer's dissipation of marital funds, the handbag, her clear financial motivations with her affair partner, and her recorded threat to lie to the court, the judge ordered an unequal distribution of assets. The final split was 70-30 in my favor. The house was to be sold, with the proceeds divided along those lines. Alimony. Jennifer's lawyer had argued for permanent alimony. William argued for zero. The judge found a middle ground. She awarded Jennifer short-term, rehabilitative alimony for 18 months. Enough to prevent her from being destitute, but with a firm looming deadline for her to become self-sufficient. It was a fraction of what she demanded, and a clear signal that the court would not be funding her lifestyle indefinitely. The financial fallout. The house sold for a decent price. After the mortgage and fees were paid, my 70% of the equity went straight into my accounts. Jennifer's 30% was just enough to cover her substantial legal bills, with a little left over. Combined with her limited alimony, she was solvent, but not wealthy. The life of leisure she had planned was officially canceled. The natural consequences have been the most potent form of justice. I heard through a mutual friend that she's working as an admin for a chain of physiotherapy clinics. She lives in a small apartment in a suburb I've never been to. Her parents are resentful. Their retirement took a hit from funding her legal battle, and the delicate flower they tried to protect turned out to be a very bad investment. Robert, predictably, is gone. His text stopped the moment he realized my wallet was permanently closed. Jennifer sent one final email to my work address, a long, rambling monologue about my coldness, my lack of passion, and how if I had just fought for her, none of this would have been necessary. It was a masterwork of blame shifting. She still believes her betrayal was just a cry for help that I answered incorrectly. I read it, felt a flicker of the old exhaustion, and then permanently deleted it. And me? I'm here. I'm not magically healed, but I'm whole. The peace in my new apartment is real. I've started seeing someone, a woman named Jessica. She's a historian. She's passionate and funny, and her interest is in my thoughts, not my bank statements. It's a quiet, steady, wonderful thing. Last weekend I took the scarred rosewood watchbox to my workshop. I didn't destroy it. I carefully worked on it, sanding down the lid until the gouges in the brass plate were gone. Then I removed the plate entirely. I didn't replace it. I just polished the wood itself, letting its own strength and character show through. My life isn't a pristine new skyscraper. It's a historic renovation. The old foundation was rotten, and ripping it out was brutal and ugly. But the work is done. The new structure is sound, and for the first time in a long time I'm not worried about it falling down.